I think if you wind back perhaps 10 years, Mike, there was a view that everybody would be driving electric vehicles. Yes. And obviously one of the big demand drivers for platinum and palladium is its use in auto catalysts. So internal combustion engines using platinum and palladium in the auto catalytic converter. And obviously, if everybody switched to electric vehicles, there was a view that there would be a reduced demand for platinum and palladium. And what we've seen happen really is that that really hasn't happened. We've got a certain percentage of internal combustion engine vehicles on the road today, and a larger percentage of hybrid vehicles on the road today. And the interesting thing about hybrids is that they actually use more platinum and palladium in their auto cats than the internal combustion engines are, because the engine is smaller, it runs cooler, and you need more of those precious metals to get the same effect. So I think there's an increasing awareness that there's going to be a level of demand for that going into the future, and that'll be sustained. And at the same time, because we've had these multi-year lows, there's been an underinvestment in supply of platinum and palladium, and as a result, you've got a growing gap and a growing deficit certainly for platinum, to a lesser extent for palladium. But really, that's kind of what's been driving these big price increases that we've seen over the last little while.
One of the things I love to do is get a chance to talk to people who are, I love to have the analysts on. We have some super quality people, but also they're the people, for lack of a better way of using this cliche, they're on the ground. They're actually doing it with their companies. And that's why I'm so pleased to have with me Nicholas Smart. He's the CEO of Valor Metals. They do gold. They do all sorts of things. Platinum, palladium. Nick, thanks for finding time with us.
Thank you, Mike. Great to be here, and thank you for having me.
Well, let's talk about those. We do talk, and I'll get to this. We talk a lot about the gold market, obviously pretty darn good. Just give us the condition right now of the platinum and the palladium markets, because I don't think people follow them anywhere near to the same degree.
Okay. Yeah, it's been a great year so far in platinum and palladium. Last year and the last few years in the platinum and palladium space has been tough, as it has in metals, but certainly seen a huge return in terms of interest in the platinum and palladium sector. Platinum is up circa 70% year to date. Palladium has had a great run as well, sort of up 50 or so percent as well. And that's coming off a multi-year low period for those metals. So a lot of interesting things coming in together. A coincidence of a sustained level of demand. It's a really interesting marketplace, and I'm very happy to chat about it. I think if you wind back perhaps 10 years, Mike, there was a view that everybody would be driving electric vehicles. Yes. And obviously one of the big demand drivers for platinum and palladium is its use in auto catalysts. So internal combustion engines using platinum and palladium in the auto catalytic converter. And obviously, if everybody switched to electric vehicles, there was a view that there would be a reduced demand for platinum and palladium. And what we've seen happen really is that that really hasn't happened. We've got a certain percentage of internal combustion engine vehicles on the road today, and a larger percentage of hybrid vehicles on the road today. And the interesting thing about hybrids is that they actually use more platinum and palladium in their auto cats than the internal combustion engines are, because the engine is smaller, it runs cooler, and you need more of those precious metals to get the same effect. So I think there's an increasing awareness that there's going to be a level of demand for that going into the future, and that'll be sustained. And at the same time, because we've had these multi-year lows, there's been an underinvestment in supply of platinum and palladium, and as a result, you've got a growing gap and a growing deficit certainly for platinum, to a lesser extent for palladium. But really, that's kind of what's been driving these big price increases that we've seen over the last little while.
Well, I'd also suspect that there's just more vehicles coming, because as you know, the emerging markets sort of mature, the number of cars that come out there, and you're seeing that firsthand. And I wanted to get to this, that you guys are operating in Brazil. And so there's so much to ask about that. I mean,
that's right.
Brazil is obviously an incredibly dynamic area and things. So just tell us what that was like. I mean, is it easy to do business down there? Is it difficult? Is the government supportive?
Yeah. I mean, Brazil, from my perspective, is a fantastic place to be looking at mining and mining investment in the current environment. Just for a bit of context, I spent a number of years working in Brazil. Now, this was many years ago, but recently got back. I spent 2.5 weeks traveling around Brazil. I got up to our project, which is in Ceará state, and then traveled through a large portion of the rest of the country as well. And I must say, I was really impressed by the level of development that I saw. We traveled out to Mato Grosso, and just the level of investment that's going in there, driven by agriculture and agricultural investment, and then the mining sector, driving a big chunk of that as well. And what we've really seen in Brazil is a big investment by the government to attract inward investment into the mining space in particular. So they've done a lot to streamline the regulatory process. So applying for permits, they've got a very smart system that they call the trial mining process, where as an operator, you're actually able to apply for expedited permits, which let you put in place a trial mining operation and a demonstration plant to demonstrate the technology, even before you get your full operating licenses in place. So we visited a number of operations that have been pioneering that route. And from my perspective, that's really smart. It works from an operational perspective because you can go in there, get shovels in the ground, get metal out at a smaller stage, an early stage with a lower capital investment. So that allows you to prove out your technology, and then it works from the regulator's perspective as well, because they're able to really focus on the guys that are serious on developing something. So you've got to be able to put the money in. You demonstrate how you're going to be as an operator, and that de-risks the process from everybody's perspective. So really encouraged by what I'm seeing there. And increasingly an interest in drawing more investment in. So some big conversations happening between the Bovespa in Brazil and the Canadian TSX, which I think is really, really interesting. So they're looking at how Canada does investment, in particular in the early stage, so exploration companies, and looking at how they can get that model working for them in Brazil as well. So I think really, really interesting place to be doing business.
Well, it's interesting too, because we were just chatting on the show about, we're in a competition for capital, as you're just describing. Brazil wants that capital, so they seem to be a little further ahead. Canada's talking many of the things that Brazil has already made progress on. We're talking about our infrastructure changes that you'd need. We're talking about the metals available, but we need the infrastructure to do something with them. It might be as straightforward as a road. It's one thing to find the deposit. So it's just interesting for people to hear that. And tell us about the currency differences, because of course, the metals are sold in US dollar terms. Correct. And the real is, of course, makes it more attractive. Your labor is less expensive than as if you were doing it, in other parts of the world. So is that part of the consideration?
Certainly. Yeah. I think, currency is one thing. Stability of jurisdiction is another major consideration when we're looking at long time horizon investments into operating assets. Getting back, I guess, to the platinum and palladium market, the fact that we have a platinum and palladium project in Brazil is itself a bit of an outlier. If we consider where the majority of the world's reserves for platinum and palladium sit, 90% of the world's platinum reserves are in South Africa, and Russian Federation being number two in that environment. So if you do that comparison from a company's perspective, where we're looking to invest our money in developing an asset, having an asset as we do in Brazil is a huge advantage. We've got stable jurisdiction, good infrastructure in terms of electricity and roads and ports. A country that is looking to bring that in with investment, as we mentioned, and then also a country that's done a huge amount of investment into the human capital behind it. So, the mining engineers, the geologists, the metallurgists that we're meeting in Brazil are absolutely world class. And again, I guess coming back to the comparison with the Canada and the US. Canada and US faces a big problem in terms of the number of mining engineers and geologists that we're graduating every year, whereas in Brazil they've really doubled down on that. And to the point that Brazil is now graduate, more mining engineers than both the US and Canada combined, which I think is quite an eye-opening fact.
But what I love in hearing this is it just tells people when they say, I'm thinking of investing somewhere, I'm talking about, they don't go down and do it like you've done yourself, but in the stock market, they say, well, what criteria do you have to look at? And you've just given us a wonderful list there. I mean, I'm aware, I was going to ask you about what the quality of the labor force is. Do you have the expertise? Because the problem that you alluded to is a huge challenge in Canada, that we do want to move forward on our resources, but you got to have the people. You got to have the expertise. So I want people to think about that, because you've just given the laundry list of what you should look at if you're examining an investment, and why you guys at ValOre chose to go down there and chose to develop in that neighborhood. I mean, you had to check all these boxes, and so it's come up very positively, especially when right at the top we said about the alignment with the incredible price improvement.
Yes. No, I couldn't agree more. I mean, it for us aligns a lot of the key factors that we'd be looking for, with obviously the timing, which you as an operator can't influence, but when those things come together, you've got to strike while iron is hot, and that's certainly where we think we are at the moment.
Great stuff. Nicholas, thank you so much for finding time for us here. This has been fascinating. And I'll invite people, go check out Valor Metals. Nicholas Smart, the CEO, with us here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Cheers.